Welcome back, everyone. Well, today we take one of our recent stories a little further. Last weekend, we told you about the Buffalo Soldiers of the 25th Infantry and their historic bicycle ride from Missoula to St. Louis. Well, today, Q2's Krista Rose tells us about their contributions to our national parks.
When the national parks started to be formed in the late 1800s, they weren't part of the Interior Department. In fact, the National Park Service wouldn't be officially formed as an agency for the department until 1916. So during the intervening years, many of the parks were protected and looked after by the U.S. military. And many of these military units just so happened to be black. Segregated Buffalo Soldier units served throughout the West in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and often they acted as park rangers in places like Yellowstone, Glacier, and Sequoia. Executive Director of Fort Missoula's Historical Museum, Matt Lotzenheiser, says that Buffalo Soldier units did a lot for the national parks.
And a lot of what they did was things like fight fires. They stopped illegal poaching and illegal logging that was taking place, illegal grazing, where people would use the open lands and illegally graze their animals there. Another interesting little fact is Soldier Mountain, which is in Glacier National Park. The story is that was actually named for the Buffalo Soldiers that fought the 1910 fires in Glacier.
Not only did Buffalo Soldier units serve in the parks, but Colonel Charles Young became the first black superintendent of both Sequoia and General Grant National Parks in California. His men not only maintained the parks, but they built many of the roads that are still in use to this day. Robert Stewart is the superintendent of the Charles Young Buffalo Soldiers National Monument in Ohio, and he says these men laid the foundation for the parks we all know today.
So the Buffalo Soldiers is a legacy of conservation. Who knows if they weren't not around in the early 1900s, the 1800s to protect and patrol these national parks. The parks that we have today may not have been in the condition that they would have been in when the National Park Service came on board later on in 1916. But they still were able to get the job done and preserve the national parks for the enjoyment of future generations. And we're doing that today.
Buffalo Soldiers truly were the forebearers of today's national parks, and it's worth remembering and giving thanks for. Reporting in Billings, Krista Rose, MTN News.
Thanks so much, Chris. Now, if you'd like to know more about the Buffalo Soldiers in Montana, check out this story at ktvq.com.